Good morning, good afternoon, good evening for whenever you've joined in on this podcast. Welcome to Apex Academics, India's premium learning destination for CA, ACCA, US CMA, CPA, CFA, and FRM. Today's discussion is with a very special student of Apex Academics from our US CMA course. Allow me to introduce to all of my viewers today Mr. Teja Surya, who is joining us from Elluru in Andhra Pradesh. Now, Teja Surya is a working professional with PricewaterhouseCoopers in their taxation department and division. But apart from this, Teja Surya has achieved the distinct honor, the achievement of scoring 440 percentile scaled score in the US CMA Part 1 examination for the Jan-Feb window of 2024. The scaled score of 440 makes Teja Surya amongst one of the top scorers, not just in Andhra Pradesh, not just in Western India, not just in India, not just in Asia Pacific or Asia, but one of the top scorers in the world today. So Teja Surya's journey, what Teja Surya did, what worked for him is certainly what all US CMA Part 1 and Part 2 aspirants would certainly like to know. So from this perspective, we have with us Teja Surya to speak to us about US CMA and what went right for him, how he managed everything, etc.
Yeah,
So,
thank you, sir.
Teja, first of all, my first question, how does it feel to achieve this score of 440? How do you feel? What's going on in your mind?
Yeah, initially when I saw my score, couldn't believe myself. Yeah, the achieving score of 440. So I was so happy to score, and yeah, even my parents also felt so much happy getting this score.
Right. So everybody is happy. That's wonderful. So Teja, in our journey in Apex, we have come
Yes.
across certain categories of students when it comes to US CMA, when it comes to ACCA and CFA. What is that categorization that way? See, first is the undergraduate students who are pursuing the studies along with college, who have a lot of
Yes.
time. They don't have to worry about office, etc. Then
Yes.
comes the working professional like yourself who have to strike a balance between the studies, office, and personal life. And recently, we are learning there is a third category also, and the most difficult category, that is of working moms. Ladies especially who have kids who have taken sabbatical, from their office and are now studying to make sure that they get back with a degree which is mostly going to be USCMA. So there is
Yes.
very different approach each of these three categories of students follows. So as a working professional, how did you strike a balance between your office and your studies and your personal life?
Yeah. So if I have to say, then I tend to fix time for office, and then I tend to fix time for studies as well. Mostly I used to study 2 to 3 hours every day, either in the morning or in the evening on the basis of my working hours, like on the basis of work volume. So in that way, I have managed. But there will be some days where I haven't studied because that there is too much pressure of work. So whatever days I was skipped, I used to cover it up on weekends. Maybe I used to study sometimes 7 to 8 hours or 8 to 9 hours on weekends. So in that manner, I have covered everything. So that's how I balance. I haven't missed anything, but I covered it on a weekly basis, if I have to say.
Right. So in the process of covering, I have a serious
Yes.
question to ask you. Now, because
Okay.
when I have my meal, I tend to watch Netflix. Currently, I think I'm on to Breaking Bad. If I think about what I'm currently watching, I'm on to Breaking Bad. Before that, I was watching, I don't know, for the millionth time, I was watching The Big Bang Theory. I don't exactly remember how many times I watched it.
Okay.
Did you sacrifice on your entertainment, on meeting your friends, going out, etc.? How did that part play out?
So if it's during weekdays, sometimes I tend to sacrifice because that's how I should cover up. I should cover up the syllabus. But during weekends, I used to give some time to myself. Like maybe because I love watching cricket, so I used to during even finals in World Cup finals is there, right? So I used to watch cricket matches, or sometimes in case if I'm too busy, I used to watch the highlights. So in that manner, I used to cover up everything, and also in between, I used to watch movies as well. But what I made sure is my weekly target should not miss.
All right, that's a big takeaway for everybody watching this
Yeah.
this discussion, that he set up a weekly target for himself, which essentially applies, or which essentially means that everybody needs to have a fixed timetable on the basis of which studies have to happen, and that has to be broken down on a daily basis, probably on a weekly basis, then daily basis, so on and so forth. And there is scope for entertainment, there is scope for everything in your life. Now,
Yes.
most students, Teja, ask us this question, and this question is a really baffling one. Sir,
Okay.
how many hours a day should I study? Now, tell us, Teja, how many hours a day did you study?
So as I mentioned, I tend to study 2 to 3 hours per day. And also I mentioned, like in some days I can't study because of the work volume. But I used to study 2 to 3 hours on an average, and on weekends 7 to 8 or 8 to 9 hours. This is how I studied.
Right. So the weekends for working professionals are going to be a slot where you have to study more essentially, because Monday to Friday is going to be working. So Saturday, Sunday is where you put in a lot of load onto yourself and study hard, right?
Yes, because that's
So
what we have to do.
fantastic. So working professionals, weekdays, you have to manage 2 to 3 hours a day somehow, maybe get up early, probably sleep late, but weekends, you really have to work 7 to 8 hours on your examinations, no matter what happens. Now, Teja, let's make it part one specific. And I'm proud to say that now you are as good as a part one specialist. A score of 440. I mean,
Thank
take
you.
a bow. Take a bow. I would
Thank
very
you.
much, very much like to congratulate your mom and dad as well, because it must be a moment of great achievement for them too, along with you. So please do convey my regards to your parents.
So, sir,
Now,
thank you so much.
my part one specific question to you is this.
Mhm.
See, everybody has a difficult unit they find
Yes.
that is difficult in their entire syllabus. Specifically for you, what unit did you find difficult in part one of US CMA, and how did you deal with it?
Uh, yeah, there are few concepts or topics in part one which we feel difficult, but I feel most difficult is internal controls. So how I dealt with basically is by watching your MCQ videos. Initially, I understand the concepts, but then what I can say is they didn't used to stick to me. But when I watched your MCQ videos and also during live classes, you used to give real life examples because you have the 10 years of experience as an auditor. And it came into that play at the time while you are explaining the concepts like segregation of duties and whatever the concepts related to internal controls, and used to provide real life case studies. So in that manner, I used to what I can say, I those concepts used to stick to my mind whenever I used to hear that real life examples. So in that manner, I studied, and also one of the good thing that happened is we have solved three books here. One is Becker, and the other one is Surgeon, and also IMA support package. And after solving these three, I was able to relate all the questions, answers, and my concepts are crystal clear right after that. So that's why I managed internal controls topic, and this is one of the most difficult topic for me. So it might not be difficult for others. So yeah, that's why I was able to manage.
Thank you for that input, Teja. So, the most important takeaway for difficulty and for material for everybody watching this podcast is all study materials are equally good, or you can say that they are equally bad also. What is important is that you should have the conceptual clarity. So Teja Surya with Apex Academics worked on Becker and worked on Sargent and the exam support package. So these were the three materials that Teja Surya worked on and our batch on Apex worked on. You might be having Gleim, you might be having Wiley, you might be having some any other hawk for that matter. But as long as your concepts are not clear, the material that you are using does not play any part. All materials have the same concepts, have the same materials. It's how much of that material goes in your mind that is important. Just buying a book does not give you guarantee of success. The concepts in that book, all of which are equally good, should be in your mind. That is very, very important. And that coming from a top ranking student like Teja probably is going to take, is going to go a long way into your understanding. Now, Teja, MCQ based exam, that is what makes CMA so attractive to everybody.
Yes.
So without MCQs, I would say that there is no CMA, right? So what did you specifically do? How did you specifically prepare for your MCQs for US CMA part?
Yeah. So here I have to mention one thing. Initially, when I understood concepts, so I used to read them 2 or 3 times, the book or material, whatever it is, and then I tried to solve them, but it didn't work out. So later I thought it's taking time for me, so I refer to MCQ videos of yours. And once I am done with MCQ videos, I try to solve it on my own. Just for understanding, I used to do your videos for the first time, and then again I solved it on my own. And wherever I felt difficult, I write it down on my book, those question numbers. And then again I tried to solve it down, but sometimes I was able to do it, sometimes I might not be able to do it. So all in all, wherever I find difficult, I used to write it on my book, and then I used to refer your videos again and again. So in that manner, indirectly, I have completed almost 4 to 5 rounds of revision. The same thing. So that's how I didn't put any extra time for any additional revision, because while watching your videos and while doing the solutions itself, MCQs itself made revision so much easier. So, and also on an average, if I have to say, I have revised a few topics 7 times where I felt difficult. And if I feel comfortable few topics, I have revised 4 times. So that's how I manage the MCQs.
We are so happy and touched that the
Okay.
kind of credit that you are giving to my videos, the Apex Academics US CMA videos, I'm so happy to have been able to be a small part in your journey. I'm grateful that you acknowledge this. Thank you very
Yes,
much, Teja
and
Surya.
yes, sir. And I have to say, because if we solve those MCQs only, then only we will be able to solve new questions in exams.
Perfect.
Like that's what I am saying. Because the teacher should explain few MCQs, good number of MCQs. Then only our logic will get developed, and we will be able to solve any new question that comes in exams. Just like if we refer only concepts, we might not be able to solve them. And MCQs, teaching MCQs and getting from teacher is crucial, is very crucial. That's what I want to say.
I hope you got that here, right?
Yeah.
Right. So the most important takeaway for US CMA students from what Teja said is 4 to 5 revisions of the entire MCQ batch of questions, your concepts, which will include, if you're a part of Apex, if you join the journey with Apex, we are going to give you 2 study materials and get the exam support package done from you, or wherever other classes you are in currently. Make sure that you have 4 to 5 revisions of all the MCQs, all the essay questions is being done by you in the process of completion and getting out there to face the examinations. Now, Teja, what happens is students study. There arises no doubt. Everybody has their own pace. Everybody has their own strength and weaknesses, and they study.
Yes.
Now the D day comes, the examination day comes, they go into the examination, and quite possibly they can see a few questions, they stumble upon those questions, and they might find them difficult. And this is where students panic, they get scared, they get absolutely blanked out. Did you experience this? Or how did you deal with the exam jitters on the day while you were facing the exams? What was your mindset like?
Yeah. Before going to exam, my mind was so good. Like whatever I have to do, I have to give. That's all. Before going at the minute. But once I started the exam, the first question I saw, it's a sales mix variance question, and it was a little tricky. Actually, I was spent few minutes, so I was little nervous there. But once I saw the timing, I spent almost 2 to 3 minutes, so I just left it at the time. And once I moved into next questions, which I am comfortable with, or which I'm pretty sure I know these concepts, or I have practiced them. So I have solved around 20 plus questions, which I am pretty much sure or pretty much confident. And then again, I came back to those questions which I have skipped, or like which I have flagged. And also there are few questions from regression topic which are quite tricky. So if I have to say in an exam, out of 190 should 90 we can do, but 10 should be somewhat tricky. So if I have to say, and in that 90 we have to score at least 80 to 85. So that's how we will be able to clear out the exam. And even if we are able to score 80 to 85 MCQs, and if unfortunately one essay question is quite difficult, so at least we will be on the safer side. The one essay question we will be able to do, and 80 MCQs we will be able to present them correct. So in that manner, we will be on the safe side. So that's how I managed it.
All right, so let's get this arithmetic straight.
Yeah.
Out of the 100 questions that come in the exams, 10 questions are going to be such that are going to be difficult.
Yeah, that's
So
what I
90
understood.
questions are for us to grab, right?
Yes.
Out of these 90, you mentioned 80 to
80,
85.
80 to 85, yes.
All right. So 80 to 85 questions, that means on an overall 100 have to be correctly attempted. Out of the two essays that come, one is assumed to be difficult. So the other essay question that is there is going to be a doable one for all the students. So the one doable essay question and the 85 MCQs that you can get correctly are your gateway of crossing. Can I dare say 400, Teja, on the basis of this?
Yes, if second essay we will be able to do, then we can easily cross 400.
Easily cross 400 marks. So if that is the breakdown that somebody wants. So a simple breakdown for US CMA is 2 to 3 hours on weekdays, 7 to 8 hours on weekends, 4.5 to 5.5 months for one part. Out of 100 MCQs, at least 85 you have to get correct. Out of two essays, at least one essay you have to get correct. And then the part for which you are studying, that particular part is definitely going to be cracked by you in the examination window, right? So that's one. Now, Teja, words of wisdom from a person who has been successful. There are many distractions around, and I'm sure you had your own share of distractions too, office, life, etc. Is
Yeah.
there any advice that you would like to give students with respect to their studies? Just a general piece of advice for people. Now, for US CMA, since we're talking CMA specific, would you like to give some general advice to students when they start their studies, how they should deal with studies? Would you like to, add value there?
Yeah, if I have to give advice, one should be consistent. That's the most important. Because initially we might start with 1 or 2 hours or even half an hour. That's what I want to say. Just start, and then as you progress, you gradually increase the hours. That's what happened with me as well. Because I have stopped studies from 2020, so again I restarted in 2023. So initially I used to study maybe half an hour or 1 hour, and then slowly and slowly I increased my time to 2 to 3 hours daily, and then weekends 7 to 8 hours. That's how I was able to do it. So if I have to say in one word, consistency. So that is the most important thing. That's what I want to advise. If someone who is starting maybe after a break or who is starting in college, just be consistent. Do whatever you can with the time available. Just study. That's it. Maybe half an hour or 1 hour. That's fine. Just don't lose the momentum.
Just study, be consistent, don't lose momentum. Keep this advice in mind. 2 to 3 hours on weekdays, 7 to 8 hours on weekends, 85 out of 100 questions, at least one essay question, right?
Yeah.
And success is yours, right?
Yes.
So, Teja Surya, congratulations. Must have said it a million times and you deserve it 1,000,001.
Thank you. Thank you again.
Now, at the stage that you are at PwC, with
Yes.
a reasonably good profile in taxation, with US CMA 1 on your wall as an achievement with 440 scaled score, would you like to ask us anything with respect to your journey ahead, how it is that life is going to be? Anything that comes to your mind to ask us, please go ahead and feel free.
Yeah, I have one question because I'm working in a taxation profile. So how can I utilize this certificate of qualification or CMA? So how can I use this and move into other profiles? Which profiles can I look into it?
All right. That's a good question. Often, when we are working in finance, finance tends to be compartmentalized between financial management,
Okay.
accounting, budgeting, taxation. These are the most broad categories of corporate job finance and accounting that we can find. When it comes to practice and professional services firms, there are even more avenues that can be as vast as cyber security, internal audit, statutory audit, taxation, transfer pricing, international taxation, etc. You are currently a taxation professional with a big four firm.
Yes.
US CMA enables you to be an internationally qualified professional, a professional who can add value in budgeting, in most importantly, formulation of plans and strategies, not just for production, but also for ensuring that services are reaching to the end customers in a profitable manner for your organization. Over and above this, your exposure to finance somewhere or the other enables you to have a basic and cursory understanding of financial reporting and accounting,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
The touch of taxation stays with you. Now, the branch of taxation that you are serving, whether it is international taxation, whether it is transfer pricing, whether it is domestic direct taxation, whether it is corporate taxation, or whether it is GST, indirect taxation, whatever branch that you are serving of taxation, that branch will stay with you in your corporate journey as well. The fact that you have got a work exposure with PwC makes you a desirable candidate for any large corporate to pick you up. Because what does working with a big four spell out? It spells out dedication, it spells out discipline, it spells out that you're a hardworking individual. Also, your CV will clearly say that whilst working with the PwC, you have achieved this distinction of 440 marks. That shows that you can balance your work and studies together, which shows that you can balance challenges in life together. So, as recruiters, they are not just looking at your degrees, they're also looking at your abilities. So, if you were to move into a proper corporate organization, it could be FMCG, it could be manufacturing, it could be service oriented, anywhere that you go, the role that you will play, Teja Surya, is going to be a generic one where you will look at strategies with respect to budgeting as a CMA, where you will lend your primary expertise. You may also have to look at accounting MISs to a certain extent, and also probably your flavor of taxation may lead you to look at a few selective MISs as your journey progresses. But broad based, it will be budgeting, it will be strategy, it will be planning, a certain amount of accountancy, and a certain amount of taxation. These five areas, as I pointed out, are going to be in your job profile.
Oh,
CMA will only add volume and add depth in your CV and your profile as a professional in the days to come. And I dare say that once you complete your US CMA, I see a good big fat offer coming from PwC to you. Just make sure that your reporting partner knows that you have achieved this feat, and also your reporting manager. That is something that they will consider in your appraisals as well.
sure.
Right? Teja
Yeah.
Surya, thank you for taking the time.
And yeah, if I just want to add one more point here.
Yeah, please, please.
Yeah. Regarding exams, so I used to hear this thing generally, we have to divide 180 minutes. I mean, we have to divide 100 questions by 180 minutes for those
Right.
MCQs. So what I did, it is one of my senior told me. So during my ID, so that's what I have applied here as well. So what I did is generally we should not divide 100 questions by 180. That's most people will do. So what we have to do is if we are confident of any question or if you are confident of any concept, so we have to give 2 to 3 minutes for that question. That's fine. Because we will save some time in other question because there will be some questions where we will be able to complete in 20 seconds or 40 seconds as well. So in that manner, on an average, the questions will take 1.8 minutes only. So that's how I used to do. If you're confident, just give it some time. If you're not confident, okay, that's fine. But don't miss out on the question where you are confident by by putting less time on that question. That's what I want to say. Yeah.
Valuable advice for somebody who's in the crux moment of the examination when they have to face off with it. So, Teja, what you have really given to the guys here is fantastic. How many hours to study? How to make sure that you're attempting the questions in the examination? How many questions actually get you to pass? How many essays actually get you to pass? Now, the last bit of this little interview, everybody watching, our batches for US CMA part 1 and part 2 MCQ batches, where we solve no less than 6 to 700 MCQs from 2 study materials, and the entire exam support package are open. Admissions are open for this batch at a fantastically discounted price of only 8,000 rupees after discount for the specific MCQ batch. Our full batches of conceptual learning and MCQs are available at only 12,000 rupees after discount. So the number is on the screen, 77385 0054. Reach out to us at Apex Academics and accept the challenge that Teja Surya's record of 440 probably can be cracked by one of you sitting out there. And Teja Surya, you have to break your record of part 1 by scoring more on your part 2. So if
Sure.
you've broken the record of existing Apex students, you have come to 440. Now I'm going to say Teja Surya 450, 460 is possible for part 2. Best of luck. We await you to start your preparation, and we await your US CMA degree to come in this year 2024 itself. Best
Sure,
of
sir.
luck, Teja Surya. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
It is a
Thank you.
pleasure to have a student like you and a fantastically supportive, humble, and hardworking individual in our network. Best of luck, Teja Surya, and may God bless you with all your future endeavors.
Thank you,
Thank you
sir.
so
Thank you
much,
so
Teja.
much. Yeah.